Good morning and welcome to worship from Trinity United Church in Winnipeg for Sunday, August the 9th. It's great to have folks here and to be tuning in from wherever it is that you find yourself, perhaps at the campsite, perhaps at home, perhaps with another group of people gathered around a screen. We hope and pray this worship will be meaningful to you and that you will find a message of hope in the midst of these stories. I have a couple of things to talk about. I've mentioned before, but I'll say it again, is that the board has approved an outdoor service for Sunday, August the 23rd at 10:45. We're going to be posting things and sending things out this week about the details. And the COVID committee has been working really hard to ensure that everyone is safe. And if this is someplace you feel safe to come, we hope that you're able to come. Preparation for that, we're having our cleanup day on Saturday, August the 15th, beginning at 9 a.m. And we figure a couple of hours should give us lots of time to get the dust off the pews and everywhere else and get things kind of back into shape because we missed our spring cleanup. We're still looking for our payroll admin person, and if you or someone you know has some experience or would like to learn, please be in touch with myself or Irma, with Dallas or Gerda, and we'll be sure to get all the information to you. I have some news from West Broadway Community Ministry. Linda Trono sent out a note this week and thanking us for all of the donations of juice boxes and granola bars. But they have received a federal grant that has helped them to purchase those items now. So now they're trying to supplement those bag lunches with something healthy, and they're collecting fruit. 140 pieces of fruit every days that they're collecting. So for us, their collection day will be August the 17th. You can bring your fruit on Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday from 9 a.m. to 11. Bring it along with you when you come for the cleanup day if you want, or just drop it off if you like in the cart that will be outside. They are looking for bananas and oranges are most appreciated, she said, because they're easy to chew. And her comment about apples is that although apples keep the doctor away, they don't help much if you can't chew them. And so we're hoping that folks will be able to respond and be able to bring some fruit and drop it into the cart outside the church here. We're grateful that you have found yourself here. And as we light this candle and begin our worship, we know that God's light is part of all we do. We know that we follow the light of Christ in our lives. We know that the light of the Spirit is what guides and inspires us. Let us worship. Sing along as you want and as you're able with this call to worship.
Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice.
Holy God, we are grateful on this morning, afternoon, evening, or middle of the night, that your Spirit is with us as we seek to be your people. As we listen to the events that have happened in Beirut and closer to home, we search for your presence, your Spirit in these awful times. And as we hear stories and music, prayer and silence today, we too search for a message of hope. be with us as we participate and listen, as we strive to be your people, as we try to figure out how to live out our faith in the world. Amen.
Scripture is our song for the journey, the living word passed on from generation to generation to guide and inspire. I'm reading from the Good News Bible, the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verses 1 to 4 and 12 to 28. Joseph and his brothers. Jacob continued to live in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived, and this is the story of Jacob's family. Joseph, a young man of 17, took care of the sheep and goats with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's concubines. He brought bad reports to his father about what his brothers were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than all his other sons because he had been born to him when he was old. He made a long robe with full sleeves for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than he loved them, they hated their brother so much that they would not speak to him in a friendly manner. Verses 12 to 28, Joseph is sold and taken to Egypt. One day when Joseph's brothers had gone to Shechem to take care of their father's flock, Jacob said to Joseph, "I want you to go to Shechem where your brothers are taking care of the flock." Joseph answered, "I am ready." His father told him, "Go and see if your brothers are safe and if the flock is all right. Then come back and tell me." So his father sent him on his way from Hebron Valley. Joseph arrived at Shechem and was wandering around in the country when a man saw him and asked him, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for my brothers who are taking care of their flock," he answered. "Can you tell me where they are?" The man said, "They have already left. I heard them say that they were going to Dothan." So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted against him and decided to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes that dreamer. Come on now, let's kill him and throw his body into one of the dry wells. We can say that a wild animal killed him. Then we will see what becomes of his dreams." Reuben heard them and tried to save Joseph. "Let's not kill him," he said. "Just throw him into this well in the wilderness, but don't hurt him." He said this, planning to save him from them and send him back to his father. When Joseph came up to his brothers, they ripped off his long robe with full sleeves. Then they took him and threw him into the well, which was dry. While they were eating, they suddenly saw a group of Ishmaelites traveling from Gilead to Egypt. Their camels were loaded with spices and resins. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother and covering up the murder? Let's sell him to these Ishmaelites, then we won't have to hurt him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers agreed, and when some Midianite traders came by, the brothers pulled Joseph out of the well and sold him for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. May God bless to our understanding this reading from the Holy Scriptures.
Although this is a difficult story to hear, because who wants to read about ancestors doing things like this? It's one that is important for the participants and for us to hear, the reader. Some people wonder why these kinds of stories are in the Bible. Why do you tell us these stories, God? They're not very good. Why do we need to know that Joseph was almost killed? Why do we need to know that he was the favorite of Jacob? Why do we need to know that they hated him? Why were his brothers so nasty? It does make our ancestors very human, doesn't it? Not very perfect, and reminds us that they are very much like you and I. Most families, but not all families, but many families, have a story or two, or maybe a few, about conflict, about reconciliation, about things that they've done that they're not particularly proud of. Those stories are all blended in with stories of kindness and generosity and celebration and things that we're very proud about. Those stories make up the fabric of our family history that's told and retold over the years. Sometimes the details get kind of mixed up. Who did what? Where were you when it happened? When was that? Was that the year when? But the heart of the stories makes us who we are. So are there stories that are told almost always when you gather as a family? Are there ones you love to hear and some that you'd rather not? When I was a teenager, I can remember clearly being so embarrassed as my parents told stories of me and my sisters and the exploits that we used to get up to. I so wished every time those stories were told that I belonged to a family that was more, normal, more ordinary, more like I imagined everyone else's family was. I would cringe when I heard the words, "Remember when you did," or "Remember when we were here and you girls got into this." Whatever it was that I had actually done sounded even worse when the stories were told. Surely no other teenagers had to go through what we did. Surely no other family told stories like our family did. Well, once I grew up and realized that every family is normal and ordinary and that every family had stories, I realized what a gift those stories were to us. On the very rare occasion when I and all my sisters are together, we were online a few times during these past few months, we tell some of those same stories. And you know what? We're not embarrassed. Those stories make us laugh so hard that tears run down our faces. And we've added stories about our parents to the mix. Remember when Mom did this? Remember when Frank was driving and this happened? What used to embarrass us as teenagers entertains my adult children, and it reminds them of their history, their grandparents, and that their parents had a life before they were parents. And it reminds them that their people, were full of adventure and fun and love and care. And it reminds them they have a history, that they are not alone, even if that history seems embarrassing at times. So what story helps you to remember your parents or grandparents or your history and the life you had before now? This story about Joseph and his family's dynamic, because it is quite a dynamic, it's a good reminder of the humanness of those folks from long ago, isn't it? Of the less than perfect behavior of our ancestors, of the surprising actions of others, because in this story, I don't know if you noticed, but the oldest brother Reuben, who, while not the center of attention of the story, that was all about Joseph and Jacob and the family, Reuben definitely had an impact on the outcome and the attitude of the others. And you can see and hear that something's going to happen. And in that story, and others, there is that constant presence of God on their journeys. So as we go about our week this week, interacting with those close by and far away, May we create wonderful stories that may become cherished memories of this not so perfect family of God. May those stories, whether they are about grand, large events or small, ordinary events, may they always be a part of our story as we continue on our journey with God. May it be so. Amen. Many folks have given to the mission and ministry of Trinity, the people of West Broadway Community Ministry, and other areas of our church, and we are so grateful. So whether your gifts are financial or energy or time or effort, whatever it is, we are grateful and we say thank you and know that without you, our ministry could not happen. As we listen and hear the prayers of the people that were created by Jackie Snar, they were created before the events of Beirut. So I invite you, as she speaks, to include Beirut in our prayers and and offer those.
Hello, Creator Spirit. We have been experiencing an abundance of warmth and garden produce. Thank you. Can we match this abundance of warmth that you have given us with an abundance of love for our human family and all living things as we dwell on Mother Earth? This week's Bible reading transitions through comfort to chaos and unknown outcomes. Throughout these circumstances, the Spirit is there providing dreams and alternate choices. Dear Creator Spirit indwelling in us, through our relationship with you, we will listen for your voice as you lead us to be your creative potential, bringing dreams to our human family and community and world. We hold many in prayer, and we name them silently in our heart. We will continue by saying the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. This last hymn we chose, Nicola and I, as we were going through and trying to find music for this week. And when we came to this one, I remembered in my first pastoral charge when I was serving a 5-point charge in New Brunswick. So 5 churches, 3 services on a Sunday, always one at 7:30, bringing my kids and finding them falling asleep in the pews as they were listening to the service for the 3rd time. And this was often sang at the end of those evening services, and it has every time I hear it, it brings back memories of being in those small maritime churches as we worship together with just a few, but as the people of God. So whether our stories come from the Bible or from music or from our own personal experience, every story of the family of God is woven together to enable us to be the best people of God in this world. And so whoever we meet, wherever we are called into action, wherever God's voice whispers in our ears, may we respond as people of God. May we be brave and courageous as our ancestors were and as we are. And now may the grace of God, the love of Jesus, and the power of that amazing Spirit be with us always. Amen.